Hello everyone on YouTube. I'm coming back to you from the shed here with my most recent acquisition here. This is something pretty unique, I must say, especially considering this thing had to get imported from the UK. This is a Philips N1700 VCR-LP recorder. So what the heck is do I mean by VCR-LP? So in, I believe, 78, this is a format that Philips introduced over in the UK, and I think even into like Europe too, in some capacity. This is what the tapes look like. It is a half-inch tape. The reels are stacked on top of one another, so that's comparable to like the Quasar VX format that I collect. But it's probably better compared to the cartridge version because on this one, the tape actually does get threaded inside the machine. The Quasar format, the idea was that the tape was already pre-threaded in the cassette. I imported this because this seemed, in my, pipe dream of having support for like any video format ever, I was made aware of this format by the videos on the video99.co.uk channel here on YouTube, and this seemed like a pretty unique format. The most obvious, or rather the most well-known format that was unique to PAL was the Video 2000 that Philips would end up putting out. This one seemed a little more, interesting to dive into here. So I wanted to get a machine to try my hands at, see if I can get a working unit out of it, and be able to be probably like, I don't know, perhaps the one guy in the United States that can transfer these things. I don't know if anyone else in the United States has one of these things, so it'd be just something pretty neat to have. Now, I did take a look inside this unit when I first got it, and I am aware of what I'm in for, but I'm going to take the top off in here and do a deep dive with you guys. Getting the cover off on this thing, there's a screw here and there's a screw here that I didn't fully tighten. I need to get it undone. I just got a little flathead here that seems to work fine. Okay, and the other here looks to be already loose. So getting the top off, do you just slide it out, or do you have to? I can't remember if it's slide or lift. I had a bit of an issue getting the cover off the first time because I'm like, wait a minute, how's the cover come off? Yeah, and part of there's a crack in like the case here too. That's how I got it. So at some point I think it'd be good to weld that, get the iron and seal that up. Okay, so I just pushed on it until it gave way. So that seems to be how to do it. I'll set the cover aside. And here's a look at the inside. Actually, should take the basket off now. Okay, so get the basket off. There's a lever here that you push down on. Well, there we go. And I think it just lifts off. Yeah, okay. All right then. Here's the basket. Now in the basket, you have this piece here, and I believe this comes out, and it's used to clean this guide here So that's pretty pretty interesting, I must say, that they have their own little pin for that, for cleaning that guide. Now, you can probably tell from there. I don't think you can actually, but this VCR is definitely not the cleanest thing. It's definitely near moisture. Case in point, the pinch roller. There's a bunch of rust that's built up there. You can probably see, and it's nearly stiffened up. I mean, it spins when you put pressure on there, but oh yeah, now that the basket's out of the way, I can see there are cracks forming on the bottom. Oh shoot, oh that's never good. It's not going up like the length of the pinch roller, but I mean they are forming, so this pinch roller's got its days numbered. So we'll go around. Okay, I don't hear any scraping. One thing to worry about with VCRs that have been near moisture, as this thing definitely has, per the rust, is that moist climates can quicken the glue holding the rotary transformer coils. So when that glue deteriorates, the coils are going to drop down, and you're going to hear a scraping noise. Well, I don't hear a scraping noise on this, so that means one less thing I gotta do on this thing. So I did a check of the heads, and they're both intact, which is one less thing to worry about. They could still be worn out, right? It seems like in Colin's videos, like every other machine he comes across has like bad heads, one way or another. So, but the heads on these are at least not chipped, so that's already good news. So, being my first time looking at one of these things in person, trying to see if there's anything that sticks out. If the mechanism is mistimed, I'm not going to be able to spot that. This part is like a vacuum. It's like sucked up all like the fuzz over the decades. So that's going to have to get cleaned up, and I'll have to be careful because it's literally right next to the head drum. And I don't want stuff getting onto the head drum, especially the heads. The heads I see, you got arrows here marking where the heads are, so easy to identify them. So you got a board here. First, I should point out is that on this format, Philips opted to use modules for the various circuits, and they're labeled. Yeah, this one's labeled chroma filter. Anything else labeled? Sound is there. And everything else is like cramped together. There's the delay line there, I see. That gave Colin the problem, like in his recent video. So this board can swing out if you undo that, I believe. Yeah, this kind of stays up. These here are to activate the. So when you hit down play, that's going to. Well, I can't press down play because it thinks the cassette lets the basket's open. But basically, if I were to push down the play button, this switch would get activated. If I put down the record button, that switch would get activated. Actually, I can do that. Yeah, see? that gets pushed in, and then stop, of course, resets all the pins. Yeah, but play, it won't let me push it down because it thinks the basket's up. But this whole pinch roller assembly here gets pushed inward towards the capstan. Speaking of capstan, oh my goodness. Oh my god. There's rust on the capstan too. Ah, shoot. Gotta clean that up too. It's not gonna be much fun. So yeah, this whole thing spins up. Okay, so on this format, I don't know which is the supply and which is the take up. I think on this one, the top reel is the supply and the bottom reel is the take up. Again, I think. Because on on Quasar, the reel you don't see, which is on the bottom, is the supply, and then the take-up reel is on top. So on the Quasar format, as you use up, the tape, you see it accumulating on the top spool. That's how it works on the VX format. So I'm sure I can scrape away the rust on the capstan just to minimize that. Because the first course of action on these things, like to make sure mechanically it's all sound, I'll eventually flip it on like his end here so I can show you the bottom of it. But I will say the head drum belt and the capstan belt do need replacing. I know that much. In fact, I used the measurements from Colin's videos. He gives them in like one of his videos for the head drum belts, and I found what should be a suitable replacement on eBay. The supplier he referenced, whenever I clicked the link, the page was no longer valid, which is great. Not really. But so that belt is currently en route from Miami. I guess it wanted to party before it had to go up here in Jersey. So I'm waiting for that. I'll look to see if the capstan belt, because the capstan belt is just a square, cross-sectional belt, and I got plenty of those. Question is, do I have one that would fit this? So here's your threading motor here, and yes, that's obviously very fuzzed up. To hook up like a bench supply up, you would need to desolder one of the leads to the motor, so that you don't get any feedback so that none of the voltage is getting fed back to the circuit. You don't want that, because the threading motor, let's see, it's had a threading motor. There's a worm gear there. It drives that gear, and I see it drives a bigger gear on the bottom there. And then how all that works is that it's going to thread. It's kind of interesting because the head drum itself moves with the threading of the tape, because this whole assembly moves to about, I think, there, to where I think the front gear is at 12 o'clock just about, just from the videos I've seen. And that's how the tape gets threaded up. Things we have to do: clean up this worm gear assembly, the threading gears, get the rust out of the pinch roller, and even with the cracks on the bottom, that should be fine. But ultimately, I would like to source a different pinch roller that's not cracked up. Scrape the rust off the capstan. That shouldn't be too bad. I don't even know if it's touching if it's on a part of it that touches the tape. So yeah, I think I'll just flip this thing over and show you guys bottom. Oh, before I do that, something I want to point out, because first and foremost, I'm going to need a PAL coax cable. I use a Toshiba PAL DVD recorder in my main setup, so for the time being, I could run it into that. However, Colin said that there would be no issue, sending one of those, AV modded PCBs, over to the States. So, assuming I get this thing to a good, state, mechanically speaking, I'll contact him to ask about, shipping one over, over here. But the other thing is that there's two different types of these things. There's one where the power cord is like hardwired into the unit, and then there's one where it's just your figure 8 cable that you have to hook up separately. This is the latter here, as you see. The seller of this on eBay did show it powered on, so that's one hurdle crossed. I don't have to worry about the regulator IC on this thing being bad, because it showed the clock working. However, for whatever reason, the seller did not include the power cord with this unit. This is kind of annoying, but I do have a figure 8 cable on hand. It's like the last one I have too. Alright, so here's the underside of the unit. Now, I couldn't believe this when I first got my hands on this, but there are no screws holding this thing together. At least no screws were included with this thing. It's just two clips here that hold the bottom cover here in place. And I gotta pull that out a bit. Here's the bottom of the unit, and even better, the bottom board here just got little brackets here that go against the they're held in by some metal pins here. You just push them down and this whole thing comes down. So nice. It's a pretty nice service friendly setup here. So here's the underside of the unit here. This is the capstan. Here the bell looks okay, but the head drum is here, and that belt, when I move the head drum, the belt's not moving one bit. So yeah, like I said, this head drum is going to need a new belt. Again, that's underway. So this looks like the capstan motor. Yeah, the capstan motor even has rust on it. Yeah, not good. The head drum motor. This here is so let's see, this belt here is for the tape counter. That's not important, not in my book at least. This here, I believe, is for the reels. Right? Let me get my bearings straight as I take a look here. So the motor only applies to that top reel there, the bottom reel. So it is so in that case, it is like the Quasar system. The Quasar system, the motor for the spools only is only powering up the take-up reel and the top reel. And I see it's similar on this system too. The top reel, that the motor here is only controlling that top reel. Where's the spool? There it is. And then the bottom reel kind of just basically just rotates against part of the chassis, and all that matters is that one's free to roll. Okay, and that is connected by a belt, and I see that belt is loosey-goosey too. It's another square belt. Okay, so I'll have to find a good replacement for that. Hopefully my bin, if I can get it, Hopefully my bin, my cookie tray of belts will work on this. I know changing the belts on these things, not the easiest thing to do per Colin. The capstan belt, interestingly, the capstan belt has brushes against the belt. It's like the headroom belt for the Quasar units that use the. I actually have one still on the bench. Right, this is from the Quasar, and this brushes against the headroom belt. I don't know like what it was for. The reason that one's not in the unit is because the replacement headroom belt I used, it ended up causing vibrations that was affecting the picture. So I just took that headroom belt out, and I mean, it works, and that's the important thing, is that it works. Yeah. So it's interesting that they use the same thing, but this time for the capstan belt. I don't see anything on the headroom belt. No. You do have to loosen those screws to try and get access to the belts here. In his videos, Colin advised against putting these things upside down, and I'm sure he has a reason for that. Yeah, to get to like this belt here for the spool, I think. Well, the motor comes. The motor's attached to the chassis via some screws. I'm just thinking ahead, folks. Don't mind me. It doesn't look like the headroom itself has a head next to it to detect the rotation of the head, because as the capstan does right here. There's a little audio cassette head, and there are magnets on the capstan, and this is so that it can monitor, the rotation of the capstan and all that jazz. Yeah, the headroom doesn't have that. Okay, or maybe it's like inside the headroom. Maybe that's probably what it does. It's all inside the headroom. Okay. Oh, this must be. There was a rattling in this thing, and I'm like, oh, what broke off? Some transparent piece of plastic. Okay. Oh no, that's going to amount to anything. So the motor, this assembly here needs to get cleaned up, definitely. That probably should be like the first thing I do, because that's filthy as all get out. In fact, I don't even need to get alcohol just yet. So I can just, with a Q-tip, should be able to. Oh, ew! Oh my goodness! Oh, that is absolutely vile. Yuck! It's worse yet that it's right next to the head drum. Use up this end until I can't no more. Yeah, another bring here. I'll apply new grease on there. Okay, so that's cleaned up rather nicely. Okay, so already that's a little better. So I'll get an idea of if anything's really seized up. I think the motor gets 6 volts applied to it during the threading operations. I thought that's what I heard. I've been wrong before though. But I'm not going to give it 6 volts out the gate. I'll see how it works on 3 volts. Okay. And then we do this so that no voltage is fed back into the circuit itself, because that can mess things up, folks. So So if you're going to apply power to like a motor in like a VCR or some other piece of electronics, make sure that at least one end is disconnected from the rest of the machine. So I had to go in and get new batteries for the camera. But I figured I would change the position so I can better see what I'm trying to do here with that threading motor. So I'm increasing the juice to 4 volts. Oops, sorry, camera. Okay, and let's see if this is going to be like the correct way to do this. Make sure my head's out of the way. Okay, I hear it trying to go, but it doesn't want to. Let me try reverse in case I don't have the correct polarity. Oh, okay, I saw it go. I saw the worm gear turn. No, I said, but I have it at 7 volts now. Okay, here we go. There we go. Yeah, this part's not gonna. Yeah, give it a little bit of one more bowl of juice. So the basket's down. Okay. Okay, when the basket's down, this goes the basket's down, and the pinch roll is gonna be pushed up against the capstan like that. Okay, now which? Okay, so the threading works. Now remind me, which way do I have it? I kind of forgot in all the excitement. I think if I hold it like this, it's gonna reverse it. Yep. Okay. Okay, now I know so I guess probably gets at least 9 volts. Because 6 volts it could barely move. It couldn't even move at all. Well, okay. So now we know how to work this thing. So giving it 9 volts. Yeah. So you see how the hedge rub itself moves, right? Quite an interesting way to do things. Okay, now unthread it. So for the time being, the old grease on there does not seem to be impeding its ability to thread up. So I'll leave that be for now. Just one less thing for me to mess up, you know? Yeah, so here's the metal plate that gets pushed down when the basket's down. So that plate gets pushed down if you push start, which you can now do. Yeah, so as you see, the pinch roller is right up against the, well, not right up against, but it's just about close to the capstan. Because how this all works, interestingly, you know, you put the basket down, and then you hit the power button here, and then the machine will automatically thread up the tape when the power is applied. And then you can do, like, this is your play button. It's start on this thing, because, of course it is. It's a piece of British tech. You got rewind and wind for, well, rewind and fast forward. There's no search on this, so this is purely the high speed, you know, rewind and fast forwards. While I'm looking at it, let me get this pinch roller apart. So it's holding by an E-clip. I mean, the E-clip itself is pretty. Jeez, I swear around here, there's been like an uptick in just over the past month, there's been an uptick in like how many sirens I hear going by. I don't know what the heck's going on out there, where there has to be like a siren, going by every night. But it's been like this for the past month. Every time I've been here. So E-clip, that's absolutely rusted. So I'm going to gently. So I don't want this rusted piece of thing flying. I'm gonna have to douse that in vinegar or something. Ugh. Oh, it's all on the bottom. Oh yeah, it got on the bottom. Yeah, that's the bottom. That's the top. So what was impeding was that it's on the bottom of the assembly here. Oh, let me get the bigger blade here. It's not on the shaft itself. It's the thing that the control actually spins around. So it was purely the bottom. It seems like that was causing it to seize up at those spots. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Alright, so for this, try to get more of this on camera so you can see what I'm trying to get at here. So it's like where it bubbled up. Yeah. Oh, get off my pinch roller, goddammit. Get off my plane. Okay. I don't want to cut into the rubber, obviously, even though it's the part of the rubber that doesn't touch the tape. Okay, that looks better. How the heck does this even happen? They're like, let's cook it in here or something? Yeah, I don't mind touching the pinch roller itself, because before I even try and see if this thing powers up, rather try and put a tape through this thing, I'm going to put some rubber in on that, because this thing definitely got some use. The person who was selling this deck included a bunch of okay, that is much better. Much better. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that is one issue down. I know I said I wanted to put the vinegar on this, but well, guess I lied. Okay. While I'm doing it too, because I said there was rust on part of the capstan. Oh my goodness. There we go. Jeez Louise. So I got this thing soaked in. Oh, yeah. I suppose that's a little better. Just a little bit, you know. But yeah, the bottom of that capstan is like so disgusting. Yuck. But yeah, at least the bottom of the capstan is much cleaner than it was when I first opened it. Clearer than it was like 5 minutes ago. Take a sip of coffee. I was at Heritage this morning. Well, that's not Heritage coffee because I already drank that. I just refilled it with a K-Pod of hazelnut coffee, which is what I got. I got the hazelnut from Heritage, and I was still in the hazelnut mood, so I just got poured myself more hazelnut coffee. It's like my favorite flavor. It's the Green Mountain hazelnut. They also at this time of year have a great also have a great fall time maple pecan. Oh my goodness, that is delectable. Some of the best K-Pods you could have, in my opinion. But yeah, there's much more to take off on the capstan. I don't even know which part of the capstan the tape is pushed up against. I mean, so I think. So let's see. Well, we got the thing from the streak marks on the pinch roller here. Let me see. Okay, so I mean, the tape would touch the bottom portion of the capstan, but I don't feel like it's going to be an end of the world thing. As long as the rust itself is gone, which it seems to be. It seems to be gone for the most part. So I scraped it off, and then the alcohol kind of took care of the rest. I'm kind of curious because I feel like I've done. It's just going to be cleaning up like the fuzz in here, but really I'm just kind of waiting on that head drum belt before I can really do much more. I'm really curious about putting my power cord, plugging this thing up, and just seeing what it does. I'm really kind of anxious at this point. Get the basket back on. Alright. Okay, I just got the power cord plugged in. I actually had to buy one recently because I imported a higher end high 8 machine from Japan that used one of those things, and I didn't have one lying around, so that was something I got at Goodwill. that cord. So now I'm using on this. I'm going to flick the switch to my transformer here, and right on. Is that in frame? It's just out of frame, of course. Well, there's your flashing clock. It flashes 12. So if I push power on this, I think I should thread up even without tape. At least I thought it did. Does tape have to be in there? Huh. Oh dear. Well, the clock's flashing, but the it doesn't want to throw out the tape. Because I thought it would. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, we got ourselves a problem here. My understanding of the format as is that it should just, as long as the basket's down and you press power here, it should want to do the threading even without a tape in there. Well, this one doesn't. Could be a switch is dirty. I mean, you saw the inside of this thing. This thing is pretty filthy. So, if it was a dirty switch, I wouldn't be surprised. But you press the power button, you know, that should light up, and then it should get the... Oh! Oh my goodness, Womp womp. Guess who forgot to solder the freaking threading motor back in? Genius. Oh my goodness. Okay. The machine's unplugged, so it'll be safe to get soldered, get the iron here. Okay, I don't think I need this thing to be perfect. I just need it to... Okay, that should be something. Okay, that didn't solve it. Yeah, kind of Mickey Mouse the wire back on there. But, yeah, still nothing. Shoot. Whoop. Well, I got plenty of time until the head drum belt gets here to think of what could be going on. I'll move on to other things for now, because when I was in Ohio, I got a bunch of crap from a pal of mine that that I'll need to take a look at. So I'll just call it there for now, and then I do have the service manual, and the service manual does have some troubleshooting charts. So I'm sure the no power situation I'm getting here will be addressed in that. So, thank you for watching. I thought this should be something neat to put on here, since you don't really, other than Colin's videos, you don't really see that many videos on this format. And I hope to be able to do high quality transfers on this format, you know, someday. Hopefully, it'll be soon with this unit, but I hope to be able to do that someday. Anyway, thank you again, and you all take care now. Toodaloo.